Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Cos podcast, the first one of the week. But this time, instead of the main man who created the idea asking the questions, I'm going to be asking him the questions. Muzzer, how are you, my friend?
Hello. I don't know how I feel about this. The interviewer becoming the interviewee.
Different, eh?
So yeah, it is different, and now it's nice to see how it feels for the lads who I'm kind of questioning and having these conversations with. Now I know how it feels. So yeah, it's definitely enlightening. How are you doing, actually?
I'm very good. I'm looking forward to this. I have prepared some questions, about 10, that we can answer as quickly as we can within reason, basing off your race on Monday,
Mhm.
basing off a bit more about yourself, and
Mhm.
then we'll end off with some talking about foreshadowing what's going to happen in the future in terms of races and cars itself
Brilliant.
and your job and Danielle, of course. You don't know what I'm going to ask, so this
I
should
don't.
be fully truthful. It should be a good podcast. It should be interesting for everyone to watch, hopefully.
Fab. I'm
If that
sure it
sounds good.
will. Yeah, sounds spot on. Let's get cracking. I'm excited to hear these questions, actually.
Yeah, and just to clarify, the idea on my side is to not ask the questions that every driver gets asked, so try to mix it up as much as possible. All right, let's crack on.
Perfect.
First question. So before Monday night's race in Abu Dhabi,
Hmm.
you sat 13th in the EU3 Championship with only 6 points. Your
Hmm.
Ferrari constructor team sat in the bottom four. It was seventh. So, would it be fair to say that your season had not started the way you would have liked it, or was you content?
It's a tough one. I think like tier three at the moment. From the individual perspective, myself, I was kind of unsure what to expect from tier three this season. I personally feel it's one of, if not the best all round tier at the moment in terms of quality. I think it's literally, in terms of ability, EU1 is obviously up there as the best. But I mean, in terms of all round, the driver from first to 20th able to get points on a weekly basis, I think it's the hardest one, the hardest tier out there at the moment. So for me, going into that, look at the names that have come up from tier four, racing with some of these guys in tier four when I went down there temporarily. None of these guys were as quick, if not quicker than me already. To bring them into tier three alongside me, and then the guys who were already in tier three, I was expecting I wanted to get in the points every race. That's all I wanted to do. I was happy with that. I'm not going to try and exceed my own expectations of trying to finish top threes. If I get a podium at any point, then amazing. But for me, the season so far has not been that bad. It might look bad on paper with only 6 points after 3 rounds, but Spa was a write off because the weather let me down. Spa, when the rain comes, it usually rains, and I mean that track's usually dripping after 2 or 3 laps, and it just
Yeah,
didn't. So I went for the risk, not the risk. I went for what seemed the obvious move onto the inters to try and undercut the guys who stayed out on the slicks. Did not pay off. Did not work.
so
Lost a bit all really bloody
that
on.
was a strategy decision that just didn't go your way and could have
Yeah.
if it was different.
That's exactly it. Look, in the position I was at the time, if I'd stayed on the stuff, I would have got into the points, which I would have been happy with again. But sometimes the driver, you've just got to make them decisions there and then. And the truck was getting a little bit wet, and I thought, this game, the way the game is, you could literally be fine on the softs, maybe a little bit greasy, but then the next lap it could be a whole new ball game where DRS is deactivated and then the track just becomes a nightmare for slick. So you never really know for sure whether it's ready or not. The guys who stayed out, fair play to them. They absolutely nailed it. They nailed it. They read it really well. I didn't. I made that mistake, and that's on me. But you have to. It's a split second decision. I was coming around the bus stop and thinking, should I do it? Should I do it? And I thought, yeah, let's just go for it. Let's go in and see what happens. And it was just, for me, that particular decision was just pure unluck. It could have gone both ways. I could have literally boxed, and then next lap could have been horrendous with the slicks, and I could have ended up in quite a high points position. So it is what it is. We move on, and I didn't really take
Mm-hmm.
too much away from that. As for the
I agree that EU3 is incredibly close, between, like you said, the first and 20th. I mean, EU1 is obviously incredible from first to 10th, always,
Mhm.
but first to 20th. EU3. I'm just being careful of time because I have got quite a lot of questions.
Mhm.
But, 13th in the championship, 7th in constructors. If someone looked at that, they wouldn't normally be that happy. I mean, let's skip on from Spa, Hungary, and Monaco very quickly onto your race on Monday. You started 17th. You finished 5th. So you actually got more points in one race than your season. And it was on a track that is not known for overtaking. It can be known for chaos, but it's not known for overtaking. So for people who unfortunately haven't been able to watch that race, what happened?
Basically, my qualifying, my one lap pace around Abu Dhabi isn't fantastic. When I'm trying to do hot laps, I will invalidate trying to find time, and I'll invalidate the first chicane just by cutting it that little bit too much, just by trying to throw everything at it. And I thought, well, I'm going to do a medium one at the start just to see if I can catch any of the other guys off guard, and if some of these have bad laps, or do what I did and invalidate the soft runs. It might leave me in a solid position on the mediums, and that's always a goal around certain tracks. And for me, getting in the top 10 on mediums, which is always a tall order, but if I could pull it off, would have been a game changer. I mean, I'm not going to put myself up there with the likes of Hertzie, etc., but it would have put me in a solid position. He is mad crazy. He's extremely good, and as well as some others as well. The Connell as a name to mention amongst others. But yeah, qualifying wasn't great. I went on the mediums, dropped down to like P5. I think I was P13 at one point. Roland was right on my tail. I think he was literally 1,000th quicker than me. That's literally all was it on the mediums. And we thought, right, let's get the softs out and go for it. I invalidated both my soft runs, and that was game over at that point. Yeah, that's literally how it went. I ended qualifying with a medium set time, no soft set time.
But this might be a weird question, but if you didn't, if you would have qualified in the top 10, would you have got a 5th place? It's a tough question, but it seems that the benefit of qualifying worse was you getting a great result.
I think the benefits that really pulled through for me was I did get a good start. I stayed out of the T1 kind of carnage, which there always is at Abu Dhabi. There's always a few cars going wide and a bit of wing going here, there, and everywhere. And in fact, to be fair, the whole sector 1 on lap 1 can be hectic. For me, the medium strat in P11 down is the best, by far. In my opinion, if the field is the exact same ability, then I think that is the most solid option. I think my luxury is because I did invalidate on both my soft runs. One of which was actually a really early invalidation, so I actually just crept around the track and just came in, and I could do the medium soft strat. Now I know some of the guys in tier 2, tier 1. I've been doing one stops, and well, not tier 1 because that's not been yet. Sorry, but tier 2. We're doing like one stop races, and I thought I haven't got the time management for that. So when I was on the mediums, they just felt really good at the start, and I just felt myself kind of catching the soft runners in front relatively quickly. So if I qualified in the top 10 on softs, I think I would have to say no. I don't think I would have finished P5. I think I would have maybe got myself wrapped up in some on-track battles, which would have then brought the medium runners closer to which happened. Because the on-track battles on the soft runners, it brought the medium players straight back in. That's where the medium drivers benefited.
And that's why qualifying lower can benefit, because although I haven't watched every single race from every single tier, I have to comment in EU1 a lot. We have seen, especially in Hungary this season, that Fruitful qualified very low. In 16th, 17th, a safety car came out who was in the top 4 without his mistake. He probably would have finished top 4 because everyone went on hard to the end. There is evidence to show that sometimes if you don't qualify in the top 10 on that soft tyre, you actually can do rather well. 9:30. I'm going to ask about your racing style. Now, everyone has their own style. For example, I'm quite good at tyre management, but sometimes I'm not very good with my defending. Tell me and the viewers one good thing and one negative thing about your personal racing style.
Wow, okay, wasn't expecting that one. One good thing, I would say is when my mind is 100% into the race, I believe I'm very good at kind of keeping away from incidents, like avoiding incidents. I think in the 4 seasons I've now been at COS, I could be wrong, someone may correct me. I think this is my 4th season. I think I've only ever been pulled into the incident stewards twice in 4 seasons. Dan was one of them. X427 was one of them at Spain. He got straight on that one.
I don't
And
blame
I think
him.
I had, yeah, it was, to be fair, that was on me. But I did have one more, and I think so. I think for me, my driving style, I like to think I'm probably too careful actually, but I like to think because of that, I do kind of gain places because I'm not constantly in the incident steward room, possibly getting 1, 5, 2, 10s, etc. For daft incidents. Bad driving style, or bad traits would probably be I kind of get panicky. So when lights out at Abu Dhabi, I'm a very panicky person. So even though I'm
Do you get nervous
P17 and
on the grid?
yeah, very, very. If I qualify high up or higher than expected, my hands are shaking to the point where I probably get a bad start just because my hands feel weak, clammy.
That's true.
But
I
then
think
also,
that's nice that you say that because I do believe that there are. I've asked drivers the same question before. Do you get nervous before lights out? And they say no, but I reckon they do. I reckon, especially in the final race of. I know I have to refer to EU1 because that's all they do basically, but the championship last season, I do believe in that final race people were nervous. And do you know, it's nice of you to hear that you admit, I do get a bit nervous because at the end of the day, it is a race and you want to do well.
that's exactly it. For me, that's what it's all about. I want to, like I say, I set myself a goal every season. And this goal is just to finish in the top 10 standings. Some people might say, well, that's not really a great goal. But for me, I don't get loads of time to practice. Some of these younger guys, maybe some of the older ones as well. I don't think there's many older than me actually, but some of these younger guys, probably have a lot more time on their hands than me. This is my excuses, by the way. I've got a young family. I've got work. I've got my wife.
Maybe a little bit better reaction times.
Yeah. I've got well, there's that as well. I'm 32, nearly 33. My reactions are getting slower and slower. But I think, when I'm in decent positions, or even like Abu Dhabi when I'm P17, I knew what I was capable of with the soft runners in front. When every overtake, every pit stop overtake, every time I was gaining a position, my hands just got that little bit weaker on the pad, thinking, oh wow. And I'm like, Andy, just it's a game. I keep saying to myself, it's just a game. There's no need to be nervous. And I've had quite a few. When I say incidents, I mean my own incidents off my own back.
Yeah.
Through just being being a little bit nervy. I did it in Spain a few seasons ago, and people still laugh to this day. Cookie, if he listens, is one of them, and Tichy actually will agree that I decided to pit under the VSC at Spain. As soon as I pitted, lights went green, lost about 8 places. If I would have stayed out, I would have finished P3 behind Tichy and P2. I finished P9, I think. Yes, I have had, I believe, 3 podiums, 1 win.
You've had a win? Yeah.
I have had 1 win, yeah. That was last season at Hungary, I believe. I have to thank Kitten Petter for that one, though, because I had a 6-second penalty. He had 3. He was just T3 on the edge, and it could have gone either way, but then he ran out of fuel. So I got the win comfortably, which could have been a very different outcome if he managed to feel a bit better. So thanks to him for that one. But yeah.
That just, obviously it was a hard effort on Monday, 45 minutes plus, 17th to 5th. Obviously, he came away very happy with 10 points. So well done for that. And that will now obviously put you 6 plus 10, 16, probably about 8th or 9th in the championship instead of 13th, which is a big step for your goal. One last racing question before I do another topic. Next week, European and Americans head to Japan. Obviously, the only figure of 8 circuit on the calendar, as we all know. It's a tough little track, and it's not scared of hosting a few showers. So, how are you going to tackle that next week?
I think it just has to be this. I've just now that I've got a taste for my capabilities. In terms of, I'm not going to say I'm going to finish 5th week in, week out. Some of the guys who finish behind me are quicker than me. I know I'm a realist, so I know that. But I think if I just, Suzuka isn't one of my strongest tracks. It's the S section which really lets me down. I'm either too tentative going through there, which means I'll lose time, or I'll think I'll gung ho it, and I'll just spin it on Dunlop or something daft like that. I'll make a stupid mistake. So Sector 1 is very difficult for me personally. The rest of the track I don't mind. I think whether it's rain, I prefer. I know it sounds daft. Rain, I prefer because I manage the situation a lot better in the rain. It's slower. It's easy to manage for me. When it's flat out racing in dry conditions and slick conditions, that's when, for me personally, more risks or more things can happen for me in a negative way because it's a lot closer racing. When it's wet, I do prefer a wet race over than Monaco. Monaco last week was ridiculous.
That was a mess, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was awful.
Yeah,
that was literally monsoon in Monaco. But other than Monaco, I do prefer a good wet race. I'm pretty solid in the wet. I'll say that now. It'll rain next week, and I'll DNF after that one or something. But look, I think it's just about keeping composed. I know what I'm capable of. I know now as well. I think a good thing to take away from last week into future races is that don't get your head down if you do qualify low. If you qualify P17 and you could have easily have got in the top 10, which I could have, because look at the other guys' times. Don't get your head down. Just keep your head up and think, you know what? Yeah, I'm P17, but I can still get in the top 10 here quite easily if I just keep my race clean and just do the right calls.
I think we can agree that never give up. We may disagree 100%. On this little bit, but I know if it was a safety car and I was a lap behind, I'd probably just retire to save one's health safety of getting angry. But never give up, especially in qualifying, as you have demonstrated, and many other people. It's not just you. Many other people demonstrate that.
Yeah.
If you are in the bottom 5, you can somehow end up in the top 5. You just need a bit of luck. Which, by the way, everyone needs a bit of luck to get that result. What are we on? 17 minutes. Okay, so just a couple more questions.
Yeah.
And this is more about you from the side of COS admin. Because I'm sure everyone's aware that you and your wife, Danielle, do some social media stuff. And when I mean some, I mean an astronomical amount. You're clearly putting a real push on the social media side. I just want to ask, why are you doing it? And why is social media such important to something like COS?
Why am I doing it? I think, COS, I've been part of Contest of Speed now for, as I say, 4 seasons. I don't quite know the months, years, etc. But I feel now that I am a big part of the family, being kind of made an admin more recently to take on this role, and the roles underneath this umbrella is quite a big thing for me personally. As I do get involved a lot in Contest of Speed. It's like my second life. Obviously, I'm bringing my wife into it, which I never thought I would. I never thought I would hear them words. To be fair, my wife is part of a Contest of Speed. A team member is absolutely ridiculous as head of social media, and we're both constantly putting the time and the effort in to social media. And I think the reason why we're doing it is because we know what Contest of Speed is capable of. Everyone does. There's people who probably put even more effort. I'd say probably who will put more effort in than me. Matty, Robbo with his incidents and his management of the tiers and the drivers. Dan doing equally the same with type of stuff. Similar things. Thomas and Profolders. That everyone, even the incident stewards, everyone's putting 110% into Contest of Speed, and we have to make it bigger as a whole. Not just the admins, not just the incident stewards, but the drivers as well. We all have to work together to make this. Everyone who's in Contest of Speed at the moment, or a big chunk of them, are very experienced in terms of Contest of Speed drivers. It doesn't just stop at turning up on your race night, doing your race, and then not kind of getting involved with Contest of Speed until next week. It goes beyond that. The push on social media is we want to get as many people actually watching our races from outside of being a driver, which we are getting at the moment. These interviews that I'm doing with the aid of yourself and Arbar as well, shout out to him for the massive help he's doing. I think at the moment one of the highest views we've got, and this has only been going for 2 weeks, is Snipes and Connell's interviews, which both got in Hilly, 33 and 31 views. 33 views on Hilly, 31 on Snipes and 31 on Connell. That's a ton load of views for only being 2 weeks new. So what happens is people listen to these interviews, then people immediately go to Contest of Speed, and then it's just about pushing it. It's just about making it bigger and better. And we're going to continue to do that. You know, everyone's got their own little task, and that's mine and Danielle's. She doesn't like accepting that she works beneath me now. I'm the boss, but she has to accept that.
Oh,
and
there's a giggle in the background. She wasn't happy with that.
No. She'll probably be rip me a new one once this finishes. But look, on a serious note though, like Danielle, like this sounds bizarre, but she's got no knowledge of Formula One, and this is just to show how much effort that she puts in as an individual. She has no knowledge of F1. If the race is on a weekend, it's my religion. It's my church is watching F1 from Friday through to Monday. Danielle will go and sit in another room or do something else whilst that's on. She will not entertain it at all. So the fact that she's coming to an esports league as the only woman as well in the whole league, and actually gotten to where she's got, just shows the amount of effort that people who aren't just drivers are putting into this.
I mean, she's just put me in my place. Make sure you get the statics. And that's what it needs. I want to take this interview to obviously shout out you, Danielle. Spud helps as well. Rizal, he doesn't get massive. Rizal doesn't get any. I don't think he gets any credit to what he deserves. He does the graphics after every single race.
Rizal's an absolute lifesaver, and I would never want anyone to think it goes unnoticed. It never goes unnoticed. I mean, what Rizal does is a game changer, and then graphics on a next level. And Spud's always talking. If he's not talking about Grimsby Town, he'll be talking about Bugsy Malone with Kmark. And he's never mute Spud. And Spud is a massive player in this. Joel does a lot as well in the background. And again, Thomas, the league coordinator, the amount of effort he puts in the social media team is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the effort we're putting in, hence the interviews, the footage poll, people drivers are putting this in off their own back, which is great to see. And off the back of that, we're doing montage videos, so no one goes unnoticed. I think, we're not going to sit there and constantly say, well done, thank you every day of the week. But,
I'll tell you something from my perspective is that obviously it takes many people to run a league. But I didn't realize the effort until I was actually made an admin. And when I was given that role, then I completely understood everything that was happening behind the scenes, and it's the amount of structure, the amount of management. And by the way, things are not perfect. We have some debates, and we debate a lot of things, especially the stewards, especially the admins. But it's all for the right thing. In the end.
I think the way I look at it is, I've never been part of another league, and there'll be lots of drivers who will be able to answer this, who are part of other leagues across the globe. But for me, I can't imagine there are many leagues who are operating or trying to operate at a level that we are. As I say, it's a one big mechanism. We're all cogs in a big working machine, and yes, there's room for improvement, and that's what we're doing now. That's exactly what we're doing. Hence, improving social media. I mean, Facebook at the moment's got 23 page likes. I'm rubbish at social media, so excuse my really bad vocab for social media. But I think it's 23 members are liked. That in my opinion, that's not good enough. Instagram is through the roof. Twitter gets responses on posts.
And that sometimes that is finding what the way is, because I've noticed from my experience that a lot of gaming accounts use Twitter. I've never used my Instagram profile to do anything apart from obviously family and friends. To like a racing thing. I mean, I try to like every contest of speed stuff on the Instagram as much as possible, but mainly the gaming accounts seem to be Twitter. What time?
Agreed.
I've got to make sure I finish these last couple of questions.
Fire away, mate. Go on.
Can you just quickly explain the future interview process starting next week for everyone?
Yeah. So obviously, I've not. If this is literally brand new to the point where we don't even fully know the ins and outs of everything yet. But basically, we at the moment, obviously, as we've just been discussing, the amount of effort that's being put into to improving contest of speed via social media, it'll be interviews, footage polls, winning t-shirts and all this and all that. I'm managing all that at the moment. And it's very difficult then to try and obtain or retain doing 6 drivers a week for interviews. So therefore, we are changing a bit. And what me and some of the other admins are primarily at the moment, and others will jump on board of it, I hope soon, is that we're going to be doing like a universal kind of like power ranking system. So a power ranking beyond no other, where we're going to try and take into as much detail as possible. We don't want to see the guys who qualify first and win the race, winning it, being top week in, week out. Of course, they're going to be up there because that deserves, merit. But we want to see guys who might qualify down the P17. I'll use myself as an example and finish P5. So what me and Arbar are doing at the moment is trying to construct a document, a power ranking document, which we can input all the data after every single race from EU and AM, and after the final race of AM1 on what I would call Friday morning, before 2 AM Friday morning, our time. We can put all that data in, and that will then give us the end of week power rankings, and hopefully off the back of that, we'll see different guys at the top, different guys at the bottom week in, week out, meaning the top 3 drivers of that power ranking for the week will then get invited to an interview. That's going to be the plan, and that the interviews will then take place Friday, Saturday, Sunday. As opposed to trying to push doing 6 interviews a week, I think 3 is a much better option. But we need to try and find a balance to who we're inviting. We can't be biased. We can't be unfair. We want to give everyone an opportunity, and I think this kind of ultimate universal power ranking system is the way to go, because Snipes could absolutely kill the race the other night, the same as Hertzie. But next week, Hertzie might DNF, and I might end up in the podium places after a race. So I want to see a bit of balance across the whole season and giving everyone an opportunity for an interview. So that's what's happening. It's brand new to the point. It's been discussed about an hour ago. So give us time, and hopefully we'll have that set up for Suzuka next week.
Fabulous. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this tournament going. Right, 2 more questions very quickly. Do you think Cos is heading in the right direction, and most importantly, for the next F1 franchise?
Say that last bit again, sorry. Is Cos heading in the
right direction and towards the next F1 franchise 2021? The next F1 game.
I mean, look, I think, people... The effort again. I would go back to the effort that people put in, and then we have a pilot as well as our league coordinator. A pilot, we're talking about a guy who flies across the world, who puts as much effort as he can to make this what it is today. Other people working different jobs around the world, So because he's definitely going in the right direction. We're employing new admins, myself included in that bracket, new incident stewards. New tiers for ED as an example. I know it's all teething issues, not teething issues, that's the wrong word, but it's always going to be teething issues at the start of anything. So, but these things take time. I think we had a conversation today where EU1 took a good while to get going properly. ED will kick off eventually if it maintains. So, I think COS is definitely going in the right direction. I think the problem is for us, there's not enough days in a week. If we're going to be honest, that's the problem at the moment. We the drivers we've got in reserve at the moment, we could open another couple of tiers, and there's not enough days in the week to fill them in. That's the problem. And that's exactly it. So I think on that basis, something's attracting these drivers to COS. So, whether it's word of mouth, whether it's the watching the streams on YouTube or on Twitch, whatever it is, it's
I've
working.
Always said Fruitful was the man who got me here. Without Fruitful, I won't be here. So it is literally mouth to mouth. 129 minutes, was it? I just want to announce.
This is the longest interview.
It should be. You are the host of it. 2 things from my end. I am planning that I'm doing a massive Formula 1 quiz at the end of the season. So I'd like as many people to take part in that as possible. There is also discussions about do we obviously keep endurance or do something different? It could be an all-wet championship is an idea, an F2 idea. So there's lots of ideas that I'm having some chats with. My final question to you, really, Mozo, is would you like to add anything else? And would you like to say anything before we end? Because I thoroughly enjoyed this.
Yeah, I've massively enjoyed it. Again, it's been really nice to be on the receiving end. What I would like to see I mean, look, what I would like to see is probably beyond possibility at the moment, as he's saying. I think a lot of it goes down to days in the week. I do like the idea behind ED. I think it's a tough cookie. I think the only problem at the moment we've got is that when normality starts hitting the world, with Friday nights, Saturday nights, etc., people start going out. I think we're going to struggle. I think that's why. But hopefully we won't. I don't go out drinking, so Friday nights and Saturday nights, and even it doesn't. It could be Monday, Tuesday for me. It doesn't matter. So I'm hoping ED does actually grow to a point where EU 1, 2, 3, 4, and AM 1, 2 is now in seasons to come. I would really love to see an F2 campaign. I really do. I think it's been asked for quite a few times, and we have a lot of Formula One fans in Discord, and we see it every week. There's more discussions about the Formula 2 race than there is the Formula 1 races.
I love Formula 2.
Formula 2's where it's at. If you're a real if you're a proper F1 fan, at the moment Formula 2 is the better one to watch. It pains me to say, especially coming from a Ferrari fan. I mean it could be much worse at the moment. But.
Just very quickly before we end, I don't know if you've seen the new F2 structure this season, but they're doing 3 races at 8 different venues. They do the quali. They do the practice and the quali on the Friday. They reverse the top 10 of the quali to do sprint race 1. Then they reverse the sprint race top 10. And then on Sunday, when they do the feature race, they take the quali grid from Friday. So they're doing 3 races now. It's going to be absolutely epic.
Which I think is amazing.
F2 is amazing.
Yeah, F2 is definitely the way to go. I do a lot of when I'm fiddling around with the game and I'm just on a bit of a moment to myself. One of the first things I do is do my Formula 2 campaign. I love Formula 2.
The only thing Formula 1 messed up on is the update to it. It took too long because they used the Formula 1 from last year to use in the campaign, which makes sense because the campaign's for a 2020 driver. So you do the 2019 F2. We could talk all day about F2.
We could talk.
We can save it for another time. But it's been
Definitely.
32 minutes. Muzza, thank you so much for getting me involved. Thank you for a great idea. Keep them coming. I'm sure everyone in the end will absolutely loathe and support you, Danielle, Spud, and the team. I think you're doing a brilliant job. I hope you keep it up. It's very hard to do. And we'll see what improvements you lot have made before the end of the season.
100%. Thanks, pal. Thanks for kind of taking your time to do this interview. So you go and enjoy the rest of your evening, and everyone just keep an eye on it. We're always changing. There's always new things being added, so just keep an eye on it. And if you get any suggestions, throw it our way. But thank you, everyone. Take care.